Hope Channel, changing lives.
Hello, this is another period for us to interact once again with you on family life. My dear lovely family, That was a time for us to know how you are faring, how we are faring. Family Life is extending its greetings to you. And thank you for being with us all this while. We appreciate you so much that every now and then you have time to watch us on your set. Today too is another day for us to discuss issues still on family. And today our topic is the school and family partnership. You know that before COVID-19, there was school, there was family. During COVID-19, there was family, there was no school. And then after COVID-19, there will be school. So how do parents, fathers, mothers interact with the schools that we are having? So we want to discuss the school and the family partnership. Today we are going to have our seasoned teacher and then a doctor. He is also a lecturer to be with us on this Family Life to help us to understand the school and family partnership. And so we'll let them introduce themselves. We'll begin from the woman. Madam, please introduce yourself and who you are.
Thank you. I'm Mrs. Elsie Bochi.
Okay.
A teacher by profession.
Very good. And then
Dr. Jusayando. I'm also a professional teacher. That is a lecturer I teach in the university.
Very good. So you are all welcome. I know Madam is a master trainer. You didn't say that for me. She's a full master trainer for GES, Ghana Education Service, whether you like it or not. And so we are going to have a lot of information from Madam and Pastor, who has been a lecturer. How has it been?
Well, I believe you're asking about how it has been since COVID set in.
Yes.
Well, since COVID set in,
No, when we were asked to do online teaching.
Yes, my university is done. We are done with online teaching, and as we speak, we are assessing students, and it's also being done online.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So our semester is ending, and once it's ended, we'll be going on break to prepare for the next
What were
semester.
some of the reactions from your students? Were they having it
well,
easy?
The major issues with online is network.
Okay.
So I am teaching on Zoom, and then students have poor network wherever they are. So the student joins, is trying to ask a question, and the voice is not coming clearly, the video is not coming clearly. And another major problem is complaints of data.
Data.
Because you spend a lot of data to go online to learn. But through all these, we were able to sail through.
Okay. Were there complaints about them pile of work, or you were not piling them with work?
Well,
assignments.
The truth is that whether it is online or offline, you still had work to do. Okay. Except that because it is now online, there are some things that I may not cover. Okay. And so I'll give it to the students as assignment. Oh. So yes, students would complain that, oh, this lecturer has given 3 assignments, that one has given 2, and you are given us 7, you know. So there is that. But then for me, I believe that if you're a student, it's your work to study. So you study.
It's not fair. Teachers, you are not being fair to students at this moment. Madam, yes, so you were having regular teaching, loving your students. I could see, let's go. You see, those kind of things. Now you were locked down. How did you feel?
We also feel it as teachers. It was fun being with the children in class. Yeah. But now the government has made provision for them. Okay. Though not as they would have wished. They are taught on the TV, and then they partake in that. Aside that, I think parents should be more involved now. Because
so before we go to that, I want to see how did you miss them? In which area did you miss your students? When you were not having interaction with them, now you can't see them anymore. You wake up and you are supposed to be in the house. How was the feeling like?
We are used to leaving the house and going to work, seeing our children, teaching and interacting with the children. But here's the case: we have exceeded the time that we normally go on vacation.
Okay.
So you miss being in school, being with the children.
And the dancing,
everything.
and the talking.
Everything.
Okay, so now let's come into this area. When you were in school, okay, how was the relationship? We want to personalize it for this time. Your relationship with parents, and then how was the relationship like? The
relationship, ideally, school and family is in a way connected, yes, because the child comes from a family. And if the child is in school and we identify any challenge, we involve the family. Okay. So and then we also have PTA meetings. Aside PTA meetings, we have a time that we call parents to come and look at the performance of the child. And if there's any particular reason to call a family member, we do that. So were there situations where you need parents and parents weren't there? Did you experience that? There are a few times like that. There are some children, no matter what you do, family members won't come. They won't come because they are too busy, or they don't even have time for them. And that one, sometimes we are pushed to go home and then interact with their family. Sometimes we do that. Doc.
Yes.
She is on the field practicing. You are a parent, you have been a teacher before. How is the situation?
Well, I mean, from what she's describing, you know, it is what education is supposed to be. Education is more or less, you know, there's a Latin term, in loco parentis. In other words, the school is representing the parent outside the traditional home. So what the role that the school plays is more or less to continue with what is happening at home. So the school is to function as a second parent, or working on behalf of the parent. So that if someone is functioning as a parent to my child, I don't neglect that work completely. In other words, there should be a partnership between the school and the home, because like we are saying, the school is an extension of the home, more or less.
So in this partnership, how do you see? Let's pick conversation. So madam, we are walking into this area. Let's pick on what do we expect parents to do, and what do we expect teachers to also do in terms of conversation concerning the child?
All right. So that so this is my child. So I have a child, and this is how I handle my child. Now, because of that, now I am transferring that child to a teacher to be a parent on my behalf. That teacher should know how or certain principles or certain things about my child to be able to understand. For example, if my child has a health condition, I'm just giving that as an example, the teacher should know.
You shouldn't hide.
I don't hide it, because that health situation can come up. So I should be able to communicate it to the teacher, so that while I am not with the child, if any situation occurs, the teacher knows that, well, this child have this health situation, and this is how the child is supposed to be handled.
Let me ask you a question. Is your children in the private school or public school?
Well, my children are in, I have two children. One is in school, the other is not in school. The one who is in school is in a private school.
So we want to see what a doctor is saying. Is it what is happening in the public sector? That parents will come and tell you that my child is suffering from pneumonia, my child is sickler, my child is this. Is that how you are also having it?
Yes. Most parents do come. If they know they have specific challenges with their children, they will come and tell you, this is what my child goes through at certain times. So when it happens, give the child this and that attention. But we are not supposed to administer any medicine onto any child. So if a child has a problem, we'll call the parent. But if the parent do not make you aware, sometimes you might not even know, because there are many. You might not know. But you're already aware because the parents have come and told you exactly what the child might go through.
So in a situation where you don't know the health condition of the child. How is the relationship like when you see certain symptoms and other things? How is the relationship over there in terms of communication? How do you handle it?
When we identify such challenge, normally we look for the number of that child's parents, and then we call. Unless it is serious, it's an emergency, that's when we take the child to hospital and then call the parents to come to the hospital.
So do you receive response, or it's not all the time that you get parents available to handle the situation?
We most often receive responses.
Yeah. Now let's
right. Okay. So she talked about we look for the parent's child. Now, when my daughter was going to school, I had to fill a form.
Good.
On the form, I have to state certain things. For example, does the child have any health condition that we need to know? In terms of food, for example, they feed them. Is that so I had to write, my child doesn't eat monko, my child doesn't eat this, my child doesn't eat that. I had to state those things so that they don't give my child those kind of foods. Now the point is that the form became more or less a form of communication. Now, somewhere along the line, her teacher, well, I think it was a school policy, introduced a communication book, a book that was always in her bag. For example, they will write, today we have given so and so homework. Please help to do.
This is a situation where you have about 5 or 6 or 10 children in the class.
Exactly. So in the communication book, and then when I have helped the child, I have to write a response.
Good.
I helped the child to do this. When she was writing 9, she wrote P. So next time you are teaching, make sure you help her to identify the difference between 9 and P. So that, you see, it is like I'm saying, it's a partnership. Yeah. So I am telling you exactly the experience I'm having at home with the child on the academic work. Okay. And you are telling me what you have taught the child in school. So it's like, actually, the school made it look like, look, the two are working together. The parent is working together with the teacher to bring the child up.
Yeah. Yes, madam, from your end too, how is that communication like?
Yeah, it is. Because I initially said that we have PTE, and then we have times that we invite the parent. Aside that, when we give a homework, we expect parents to even sign to show that they were involved. We know that the child should do it, but we need the parent supervision.
So this is what is expected of the parents from the communication side. Okay, please continue.
So I will say the family is involved.
The family is involved.
The family is involved.
Now in this case, let's discuss children's health. The family, the school partnership in terms of the child's health. Now your child is sick, you have issue. Do you keep the child home, or you send the child to school?
All right. Let me. I think I'll be using a lot of my family examples. Okay.
Because we want to see exactly what is expected of me as a teacher and as a mother.
All right.
Okay.
Now, from the premise that I began with, that it is the school is in local parenting. The school is being a parent by extension. Now, what it means is that the two of us, myself and the school, are helping to bring up the child. Now, here's a child who is ill. Before COVID-19, I will probably assess the sickness and say, well, it's just a headache, so you can go. And then the child will probably go and come back and will be fine. Okay. All right, now there is COVID-19.
We are not talking about COVID.
Okay.
How do we handle the health
before COVID-19?
Yes,
okay.
Because we want to assess the situation and come and have a best practice in this era. You know, if we are not careful, the old system where we are we going to have the same thing? So let's talk about a little about the what was ideal at that pre-COVID stage.
Okay.
And then what
That's
fine.
In terms
of the health.
So my child goes to school, she's having, and then I would probably alert the teacher, that, I mean, she was running temperature this morning, or she was having a headache this morning, or she was doing this morning. That means that the teacher would have to keep a close eye on the child. if nothing really happens, the day ends, and then if it gets, if there is any need to report to me, the teacher should report to me, either to the mother or to the father. Most of the time, it is the mothers that are so involved in this. All right. Then, if the situation is such that the child cannot go to school, it means the child will need to seek medical help. Okay. What it means is that I don't take the child to school. I take the child to see a doctor, but I inform the teacher that the child cannot come to school because of X, Y, Z. Okay. And if there is any, report from the doctor, I let the teacher know. Because like I said, we are working together to bring up the child. So there should be that kind of frequent communication on the health status of the child.
So you acting as a parent and she acting as a teacher, what do you expect from the parent if the child is sick?
If the child is sick, I expect the parent to manage the condition.
In the home?
In the home.
Why?
In the classroom, we have number of children, and your child is sick. I have to attend to all the children, including your child that is sick, who needs more attention. Okay. I might not be able to give the child that attention that the child needs. Besides, if you don't even communicate and let me know how bad the situation is, I might take her as any other child, and it will go against the child and then against all of us. Ideally, a parent should take the child to hospital. If the situation is not that bad, sometimes they call and then they bring the child with their medication. Yes. So and then they will tell you.
So this is where the disease is not infectious diseases, like the normal headache, fever. Okay.
So when they call, they will bring the child with the medication and then give you the dosage.
Instructions on the medication.
Yes. So in this case, it means when a child is sick and the communication did not go on well, it means there is a problem here. So you as the teacher identifying the child being sick, what should we do at that moment? Parent-teacher relationship.
You see, teachers are parents.
The child home?
Teachers are parents.
Okay.
Yes. So when we see a sick child, the child is somebody's child, but I'm a parent. Okay. The child is mine as well. So we always find means possible to handle the case, either to call the parents, or if it's an emergency, we won't wait for the parent to come. We'll send the child to hospital and then call for the parent to come in.
But in this case, what is the best practice?
Ideally, take care of the child. Take the child to hospital. Attend to the child. And let the child come to school when the child is fine.
Don't bring the child to school at all?
No, don't bring the child to school when the child is sick.
When I even have medication?
Well, you see, well, it depends. Personally,
no, because we want to see an ideal situation where a mother is working, the father is
exactly
working.
Ask for excuse and take care of your child.
And that is, for me, that is where the problem is. The mother is working.
We will come back.
Oh my goodness.
We will come back.
That's right.
We will come back because we need to know the ideal situation. Okay. Viewers, we will just go back. We will just go small and then come back. When we come back, we will continue. The ideal situation when my child is sick, I'm working, my husband is working, there is nobody home. You, the teacher, you are the next person. What do we do? Stay with us. We will be right back.
Edwumerafo akese ne nketwa edwedifo ne edwumasuafo so ekwan potin bi wo ho a yebetimi afa so ama yedwuma agina yie se daache edwuma ho ayamhyehye bi emeto yenso senia covid-19 ba ye huni eya asemsebe Hope Channel asiesie abefo adwabosronko bi a oden hyehye a edisuo yi ebrewo dwumadie ne naposunie senia yehwe yedwuma ansa na covid-19 yi eba afei yedwuma ho ayamhyehye enonum na obehwe adwuma no tibia ene ne nsunsuaso afei akonya ebeboa wo amaso adwuma na asaya na ase esei mpo a ebegina yie anase ebesi ne dadem adwuma so hwe seni yehwe yedwuma so ene seni ayeton yedwuma ema afoforo sɛnea ebesiesie yɛn ho asie ɛwɔ yɛn adwuma ahorow nyinaa mu ɛne akwanya bi wɔ hɔ a ɛbɛboa yɛn ama yɛn adwuma agyina yie a ne nyinaa yɛn nuanom yi ɛde bɛbrɛ yɛn na ɔpanyin a dwumadie yi si ne nan so ɛne owura Charles Othaniel Abbey wɔn a ɛbɛboa no ɛyɛ owura Edmond Nkansa Balanced Life Coach Dr. Kwame Adom CEO Ewo Entrepreneur Clinic Onukreya Oye lecturer Ewo University of Ghana Business School Dr. Pascal Brenyanso Eye Human Resource and Capacity Development Consultant so you who free more why you who 15th Ekoka 20th June 2020 TA Nkrabate bia South Ghana Union Conference SCC se MYN Yesika 7 year juma ye ho oni Hope TV Ghana akabo mu a wodi dwumadie strong kwat say ebre yen
Hope Channel, changing lives.
Welcome back. We are still on Family Life and we are discussing the school and the family partnership. How the school and the family should relate. From the parent side, what should we do to support the teacher who is in the classroom? And we were talking about a situation where your child is sick. What do? You are a worker. Your husband is a worker. You don't have anybody at home, but the child is sick. What should you do? And so we'll come straight to you. And I have Mrs. Elsie Tony Boche here with us to discuss. She is a GES, a real teacher in the classroom, handling the basic at the basic level, all right. And we have Pastor Dr. Josiah also here, who is at the tertiary level, at the same time a counselor, and so we are safe. Okay, so Madam, you were talking about the situation where you said the child should not come to school at all, but the mother is a worker, the father is a worker. What do they do? Can't you help?
I can help, but I'm also a worker. So if my child is sick, I will seek permission and take care of my child at home.
Okay.
It depending on the situation. If it's not that serious, I'll let the child go to school.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I think, you know, just before we went on break, I was coming into that. Now, the teachers would wish that every child who comes is very well, very healthy, because the teacher says that my role is to teach. I mean, that's a title.
Yes.
My role is to teach. But if we look at the fact that the school is an extension of the home, then the teacher's role actually goes beyond just teaching.
Okay. Yes.
To giving of care.
Okay.
But this care, we should not confuse it, because the school is not a hospital. The hospital is for giving health care. The school gives care, but not health care. However, if my child is sick to the extent that the doctor does not think he or she needs to be admitted at the hospital and gives medication, for example, you take para in the morning, in the afternoon, and then in the evening. And if the child takes this medicine, can go about normal duties, just that the person, normally children's sicknesses are infection, all right? So it's an infection and the child is not something that can, I mean, it's not contagious. Okay. And then the child can go over normal duties. If I give the child breakfast, give the morning dose, it is possible that the teacher can give the afternoon dose. The child comes home and then takes the evening dose. That is possible. And that is why there should be this kind of communication, where if the situation between the parent and the teacher, so that if there is good communication, and for me, I like the system where you can just slip a note into the child's bag.
Yeah. Okay.
For the teacher to see that, okay, this child is taking 5 meals of this particular medicine at 12 midday. I don't think it is something that should overwhelm the teacher, who is an extension of the parent. But if the child is so sick to the extent that the child is unable to go about normal activities, then the parent should stay home and take care of the child. Now, that is where we have issues with employers. especially where a parent or both parents are working with private employers. Some employers, I mean, find it difficult to give to give an excuse to a parent to go take care of a child. And it becomes, I mean, it is a problem that we have. But our employers should understand that the reason why people are working is to be able to make a living, to come and take care of family. And so you don't sacrifice family for work. So an employer should at least be able to understand a parent who says, my child is sick.
Okay.
And so I cannot come to work. At least today, COVID-19 has taught us that one can even work from home. So it should be possible for me to work from home and take care of my child at the same time.
Pastor, like COVID, so we are zooming in into COVID-19 pandemic, okay? Because this is, before we go there, and I always say that this is where the relationship between the teacher and the parent counts a lot. If you are a parent who have a very cordial relationship with your teacher, it doesn't matter calling that, please, I tried to seek permission from my office. I couldn't get it. Can you please take care of the child for me? This is the child's situation. Then the teacher will be able to tell you whether I can or I can. For all you know, it may even happen that day the class teacher will not come to school.
Yeah.
That day the class teacher might also be indisposed and another person is coming. Managing two things will be another. So now let's move into the COVID era. Now we are in a COVID era. Best practices are being expected of both parents and teachers. How do we go up?
Declared all schools closed until further notice. Okay. Parents were distraught. Fortunately, it came at a time that people were asked to stay home.
Okay.
All right, and so people are asked to stay home, schools are closed down, and so at least my children who are not going to school, I am home with them.
Yeah.
So parents were still distraught because children were a nuisance to parents. Some parents were now experiencing for the first time their children 24 hours. And they understood what it meant to have a number of these in a classroom. Now, but beyond that, parents now started asking. Parents started, for example, I started requesting from my child's school, what are you doing for the child?
Okay.
All right. And so some of the schools started something. Some started Zoom, but I mean, it becomes difficult for especially the kids. If it's adults, it's fine. But when they are younger, it becomes difficult. The mother cannot trust the child with her phone to sit and Zoom, while the mother would probably literally go and sit and do it herself. So some will send worksheets for you to work on, and then all that. So there are some schools that have done that. Okay. And there was that communication. Some schools were just silent and are still silent.
Okay.
All right. However, now we are assuming that we are going back full swing. If schools are opening and everybody is going to be in the classroom, then we should ensure social distancing. Now, as a parent, I know that my child is going out there to be with other kids who are also coming from other homes I do not know.
Okay.
And so I want to trust my teacher, who is an extension of the home, that you should treat these kids as your own children, so that my child doesn't go to pick COVID-19 from a child who picked it from his home or her home and brought it to school.
Okay.
So it becomes an issue. But when schools are operating, then social distancing is something that we would have to think about. I mean, the personal hygiene protocols are very, very important. Children should wash their hands, use hand sanitizers, and all that in school.
Okay. Madam, what do you expect a parent to include in the child's package when the child is coming to school?
Okay. For the packaging, I will expect that the parents will put in hand sanitizers, and then extra face mask, and then either the snack or food, whatever the parent has for the child, together with vitamin C. And I also expect that no child will come to school with temperature. Previously, we would have managed, but now it will not be advisable to take a child with temperature and let him be in the same class with all others.
So it means that definitely when you experience even slightest temperature, let the child stay home. Is that what we are saying? The slightest temperature within this COVID era, should the child come or should stay home? You are saying they should stay home, or?
As long as it's above the normal temperature, the child should stay, because you cannot tell.
Okay.
Yes, you cannot tell.
Sorry, I mean, I think that even if it isn't temperature, if the child is indisposed, let him or her stay home.
Yes.
Okay.
Because, I mean, all that we were saying earlier was pre-COVID-19.
Yeah.
Now there is COVID-19. And, I mean, let's assume that my child begins showing certain symptoms of ill health.
Okay.
Maybe not COVID-19 symptoms, maybe not COVID-19. But so long as we do not know, I can't risk allowing my child to go and infect other children, who would in turn go and infect their parents at home and all that. And so, I mean, if at this point, if your child is ill, you know that you should ensure that the child is fine before.
So then you are saying that every home must have a thermometer. Every child's temperature should be checked before it goes to school. Is that what we are telling parents now?
Well, before now, before now, when your child is running temperature, with or without a thermometer, you are able to take a guess. All right. Now, personally, I have bought not an infrared thermometer, but a body contact thermometer.
Okay.
All right. I have that for my children, and so when I put my hand on the forehead and I feel there is a higher temperature, I try to use the thermometer.
Okay.
To see if it goes. That one is there, but you see, when a child is ill, normally, I don't know why it is so. Normally, no matter what type of illness it is, for a child, it shows by the child running a temperature.
Okay.
And so the moment you see that, you know that there is something wrong. Even when the babies are teething, they run temperature. Okay. So once you have those signs that my child is not well, my child who is active, running around, is sleeping at a particular time that he doesn't normally sleep, you know that there is something wrong. And so the parents should be as close to the child as possible. God has given you that child as a responsibility. So you don't just neglect the responsibility. We parents are tempted to go out looking for money at the expense of taking care of the children. And these children are our investment into the future. And so we need to have enough time for them. So personally, I'm telling parents, have time for the kids.
So it means that at first, if we're having 2 hours, and now you have to double it because the normal situations are not normal.
Exactly.
Now. And then madam, let's come to this point. In a situation where, you know, no matter what, children will ask, give me some of your food, give me some of your this. How should parents help the children to understand the situation before they go to school? Because for all you know, you'll not be able to manage them all at the same time.
Ideally, I want to believe that parents have started educating their children on such issues.
Okay.
But we'll certainly have children who will come and share like before. And I don't know how, but we might certainly have.
So how will you manage that in the class?
We are also parents, so we'll keep on educating them, letting them know the dangers involved in living the life that they used to lead. Letting them know the dangers in the previous way of living. Okay. Yes. So if they get to understand, I believe they will stop. And
so how will you communicate? For instance, you constantly see this child putting up this behavior. How do you communicate it to the mother? Will you report to the mother that this is what I've been able to see or I've noticed about your child, and the child needs to, or you said, oh, I will manage it in the school myself?
Yes, as I said, I will first deal with the child, and then If it persists, I'll call the parents and then let the parents know what the child is doing, and then the parents will also take it on from there.
Okay.
When you ask the question, I remember the funny picture I saw somewhere. It's a cartoon. Okay, and the kids are in class. And this one is saying, your nose mask is nicer than mine. Can I try it? And then another person is fighting the other. Oh, she took my nose mask. These are things that are likely. And I mean, she rightly said, education is the key. So that if we educate our children, they themselves would be conscious of it. You know, they may be very young, naive and all that, but if we keep hammering it, it would work. Today, there are homes in which, I mean, let me use my home. Before now, if I return from work, I meet them with an embrace. Now they will not do it because they expect me to get my hands washed first.
Okay.
My daughter will ask me, Daddy, have you washed your hands? So in other words, what I'm saying is that the more we educate them, so my dear parents, educate the children. Start doing it. And do it over and over and over. I'm sure they will learn.
Madam, you have been in the school for the food aspect. How do you see the feeding now, before COVID and now COVID? How should the children feeding be at this point?
The school feeding?
No, before we had this COVID. The school was feeding the children.
Yes.
All right. Let me bring in the school feeding. The school were feeding. Were you having plates that you were serving, or the children were bringing their plates from the school?
Some schools, the children bring their own plates.
Okay.
And some schools too, they have plates for the school.
Okay.
I don't know whether they will let every child bring his or her own plates.
Okay. Okay. And so we will come back. We want to just turn ourselves quickly and then come back and talk about what should we expect in the feeding system in this COVID era, especially those who are in the private schools. Normally the problem is not all that much, but where you come to our public school where we have large numbers and then the government is also feeding them, the teacher-parent relationship. We will be right back.
We're living in a different world today. With the touch of a computer key, a message can go electronically across the world in an instant.
Hello there, saints and friends. It is that time of year again, and though we are suffering at the hands of COVID-19, lockdown and self-isolation, we will not be deterred. The South England Conference of Seventh-day Adventists invites you to their first ever virtual camp meeting starting Sunday the 14th of June for 1 week until Saturday the 20th of June 2020. In direct response to the current climate of turmoil and uncertainty, the theme for the week will be In Times Like These. A wonderful array of speakers will lead out in the sessions, including some of our favourite pastors, Mark Finley.
Romans 8 comes to the end with glorious victory.
Dr. Elizabeth Talbot.
Included in this invitation to be saved through Jesus Christ.
Dr. Carlton P. Bird.
Please do not look through the myopic lens of life and think that all of what we're seeing and all what we're experiencing is coincidental or by chance.
And Cami Ottman.
Just and true are thy ways, O God, you judge righteously.
Along with Dr. Hyveth Williams.
It is finished, paid in full, done.
Dr. Chidin Waba.
Simply by changing your lifestyle, you can reverse disease.
Pastor Chuck Hagel.
This series will help you explore how do you raise kids in a digital age.
Dr. Charles Wesley Knight.
And somebody came to camp meeting tonight wondering why is God taking so long.
Pastor Justin Kim.
Third day prepared for the sixth day. There was no procrastination with God.
And Dr. Andrews Ewood.
Be holy in every aspect of your life.
Do join us for this spirit-filled event broadcast on
Hope Channel Ghana,
Facebook Live and YouTube.
House of Prayer morning sessions will commence at 6 a.m. and the evening commitment service will begin at 6 p.m. A reminder of the dates are Sunday the 14th to Saturday the 20th of June 2020. The youth programme No Walls Talk will follow on at the end of the commitment service at 8 p.m. Prayer requests and health questions during camp meeting, call 01923 656 528. We shall overcome.
Thank you, my dear viewer, for still staying with us. We are still on Family Life, and we are discussing the school-family relationship, or the partnership. What the parent, the family is supposed to do, and what the school is supposed to do. That together we can build the child and then support the academic side. We've spoken a lot about how parents should interact, their health, their feeding system, the pre-COVID, and then let's say we don't have post now, within COVID and within the pandemic, what is expected of parents and what is expected of teachers. And so we are still zooming in. Now we want to go back into academics. But before we go to academics, we were talking about as to whether we should allow mass bowls where the school provide for children to eat from, or now individuals should. Let's listen from the teacher on the ground and let's see which one will work best for us. So, madam, in the system where we are having the school providing food for the children, some schools have their plates that they serve and then they wash. Some too don't have. Which one will be ideal in this pandemic?
For now, since sharing is out of the case, it is ideal that every child comes to school with his or her own bowl.
Okay. Why so?
And spoon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Why do we have to? Because if a school is providing, is that not okay, Doc?
Well, if the school is providing, then the school should ensure maximum health, personal hygiene to it. But the ideal would be what they are suggesting. Now, the reason why I'm saying so is, if I am providing a bowl, a plate for my child, I am going to ensure that I give it, all the attention that I need to give it. But if it is done en masse, chances are that it can be given that maximum attention it needs. Okay. So for me, I think that the best is, in a public school where there is a school feeding program, instead of the government providing the bowls and all that, it is fine, yes, but the parents should also take that responsibility. Like we said, it's a partnership. And provide bowls, provide spoons. The child does it, and then at the end of the day, it is repacked and given to the child to be taken home. It is washed. The next day he or she brings it back to school, and that is better. It is safer than when we are all eating in the same bowls. If, for some reason a spoon is not properly washed, and COVID-19 is a droplet infection. If there's any droplet or whatever somewhere, it is going to infect one child.
And the spoon is even a metal.
Exactly, it
so
is metal.
Whoever is coming to even serve the plates and the bowls, it's also another
Exactly.
issue.
So the best is actually.
Then we can even say the best is from now every parent should cook from the house.
Well, the government is putting up a social intervention policy by trying to feed children. It is a way of encouraging education.
That one was pre-COVID.
It will still be needed.
Yeah, it will still be needed because it is a social intervention. Okay. There are some families who would, unless the government will say, now I am going to put that money, give it to families. And honestly, I don't think that can come up. It can still be produced for them, but under strict hygienic conditions. But one role that the parent can play is to provide the plates, the spoons and all that.
And the food is normally warm. Okay. They normally don't serve cold food. So
in this time, you also are telling parents that we should stop cold food.
Yeah.
And give warm as we used to do. Okay, now let's come to the child's academic work. How is this partnership going to be? Not pre-COVID, within this COVID. How should the partnership be if really we are fully integrated into the system? A parent is working, don't let us forget. The stress is also there, normal. Now, the normal stress is now becoming new normal. a different thing has added. What does teacher expect from a parent?
I think for now, the parents will be more involved in the child's schooling, because the possibility of the child falling sick, we don't call for that, but it can happen. The parents should monitor and frequently find out, is my child safe? These are some of the things that the parents should be involved. And then if the parent is involved, it calms the child too. And the child is also able to learn better.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So we need them.
We need parents.
Okay. I mean, I think from what she's saying, it's something that we mentioned earlier, that there should be that kind of participation, so that the parents should participate in the child's schooling. The child has been given homework, for example. To what extent are you involved? To what extent are you, helping the child? Or if the child's school is even running an online, to what extent is the parent involved? Are you providing the logistics for the child to do this online studies? The government has brought it on TV for them. Meanwhile, that parent is at home and the TV is on a different thing.
Channel.
He or she is home and is watching a different thing that is not even meant for the children. You see, if parents start becoming interested in their children's education, they themselves would actually, give, I'm putting this in quotes, give pressure to the teacher.
So now we should put the soap opera
on hold.
On hold.
Yeah, because they are home, the children are home more with you. So that if you are not going to work and you are home with them, the whole day should not be spent playing. You should be able to have time for them to work with them. You should be able to, to teach them. If you can't teach them, find a way, download videos. If you have appropriate ones, they are downloadable, and let them watch.
Okay.
You will spend a little more on data, but it is better. It helps your child to continue learning.
Okay. So it means that financially it's going to be a little bit demanding on the side of the parents,
That's
on
right.
the side of the family. Now let's come to the normal. What really do we expect from this partnership? Apart from what we have spoken about, are there other things that, Doctor, we expect in this parent-teacher partnership or the school-family partnership?
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about communication. For me, it is number one in this point. And then we just talked about that kind of participatory role. Another thing that I think we should look at is consultative decision making.
Very good.
If there is a decision to make, if previously a child can just decide on whatever about, a parent can just decide on whatever about a child, this time around, it should be consultatively done. If the school should not just decide on anything, it should be consultatively done. For example, let me give an example. If a school is taking children on an excursion, previously the school would just say, Friday we are going on excursion to so and so place. Everybody is contributing 2 CD. And the parent doesn't have a role to play. This time around,
I think they were still seeking your consent.
Well, it was it was more of information. Normally, it was more of information. But this time around, there should be that kind of,
like they should even discuss all the programs
PTA meetings, exactly, so that the parent knows that, okay, around this time, my child will go to so place. Around this time, well, I don't know if now children will go swimming.
Okay.
There are some activities that may have to be on hold for so long a time.
Yes.
Okay. But before now, the school would call or write a note and say, children are going here, children are doing this. The partnership here means when there is a decision, it has to be consultatively done.
So now it's basically consultative. School need not to take decision and write to parents that does, but parent teachers, we didn't, because now we even have our Zoom and other things. So this time we want to do this. Parent, what do you think? And this one will give parents opportunity.
Let me come in.
That is a challenge.
Previously, even you couldn't have just repeated the child without consulting the parent.
Okay.
As before the term ends, you study the child and know the child's performance. If the child is far below standard, you communicate with the parent, and before you decide to repeat the child, you have already
have that discussion.
Yes, so the parent is involved in the step you are taking.
Okay, and so we are saying that this time the consultation should be more than before.
All right. Okay. Then another thing that I think is collaboration beyond the school.
Okay.
Now, I mean, I'm saying this in the sense that, now, some teachers, not all, some teachers think that I take my bag and then I go to work. When I close from work at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., I have closed from work. But school is a different thing, because that child who has been entrusted into your hand is actually picking from you for life. And so your collaboration in that child's upbringing should go beyond the four corners of the brick and mortar classroom. In other words, I should be able to, for example, pick a phone and call my child's teacher at, say, 6 p.m. when the teacher has closed from work. But there should still be that kind of collaboration, even beyond the school.
Good.
And so, I mean, I'm just saying that, we mentioned it earlier, but it should have much more meaning now. That the relationship between the teacher and the parent should be closer than before.
Okay. Any more? We want
Okay. Well, another thing that I think we can think about is what we can call a community collaboration, so that it shouldn't be about just me. Because I am the father, it is just me. This is something we used to have in our Africa, where the child belongs to everybody. But now that has changed. The child actually belongs to only you. And some parents are like that you can't even punish the child, you can't send the child and all that. Now, when I talk about community, I am actually talking about that situation where together as a community, we should be able, so it's something like the PTA thing. We should be able to decide, to make decisions on how we want the school that our children attend to be like. So the parents in the community can come together and make decisions, very important decisions, that will border on the children. So that the school would be able to build on these things.
So we want to wrap up. Our time
is my goodness.
Our time is almost up. So, Madam, we want you to say your word on behalf of the teachers to the parents, and you will say it on behalf of the parents to the teachers for us. In this pandemic era, if schools are to reopen fully, what are your advice to your parents?
We've been working with them all along, and we appreciate their efforts. And for now that things are becoming tighter than it used to be, we will expect them more than before. They've been helpful. We need them more.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm talking to teachers. I'm a teacher myself. Just as I teach the older ones who understand, and the younger ones who are our children are the ones we push to our teachers. And so when I'm talking to them, all I'm saying is that, teacher, if you're a teacher, you are a parent by extension. Whether you have children or not, that child who has been entrusted to you is actually picking his or her future from you. If that child will grow to be a good citizen, you played a role.
So in this COVID era?
In this COVID era, you'd have to be conscious of that. You keep yourself safe, and then you keep the children that are entrusted to you safe as well.
Thank you so much. And so, my dear, this is where we'll draw the curtains. We thank you so much for staying with us. This is Family Life, and the topic we were discussing was the school-family partnership. And with me was my dear sister, Mrs. Elsie Boche, who is a teacher, and she's here to share. She shared her experience with us, and then Dr. Pastor Josiah from the tertiary institution also shared. Even though he did not go much into tertiary, he has helped us to understand our role as parents in this COVID era. And I believe that the little that we had, we are going to adapt in order to make our lives better whenever our children are to fully integrated into the normal new you. Thank you so much, and God be with you. Until next week, we want you to stay safe and be there for us. God bless you.
Medafo memwakwaba eba Hope TV so. Ye wo dwumadia bi a yato no din apomuden pa e wo Hope TV so a kwasia da biara nonso pepepe kopim nonso empa mu exactly 7 o'clock p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Ye de apomuden pa ebre wo na